So here we go, we're looking at the Staffguard conflict management system today, how we wire it, configure it and program it, and we'll take it from installation through to commissioning. The Staffguard is going to require power. So power is 12 volts DC, going up to 15 volts DC. We typically connect this Staffguard to the intruder alarm system via the auxiliary output, or you can actually power it from a separate power supply. Terminate the 12 volts into these termination points within the Staffguard. Once you've applied the 12 volts, it will need a telephone line or a digital grand stream for communication off-site. The telephone line would require an ADSL filter. If it's a grand stream, no need to install the filter. And crone into a BT socket, or just go straight into the network if you're using the grand stream. Once the Staffguard has been powered up, you will notice the blue light on the Staffguard illuminate. To check you've got power on the Staffguard, just tap it with something, your hand, your finger, a little screwdriver, and you'll notice the blue light, or sometimes it's a red light, just depends on which model you've got, will flash. This basically is the microphone feeding back into the Staffguard, and it's a simple test just to make sure it's live. Now, Staffguard is activated via negative applied triggers, such as bell output from the intruder alarm system, or relays if you're running it through the fire alarm system. So you need to use the same negative from the Staffguard to trigger the negative inputs on channels 1, 2, 3 and 4, as shown here on the Staffguard connections. By applying a negative to these terminals, it will trigger the Staffguard. So when you're first installing the system, if you want to ensure that everything is in its standard state, if you like, pop a negative probe from your multimeter on the negative terminal on the Staffguard, and then check channels 1, 2, 3 and 4 with a positive probe to ensure you've got 12 volts. Got 12 volts, you've probably applied a negative somewhere on one of those channels and it's sitting in alarm. Remove that negative, check again, and it should be sitting at 12 volts. By applying a negative to channels 1, 2, 3 or 4, you will trigger the Staffguard. If you require triggering of the Staffguard to also activate the NVR or DVR, you can install a relay into channels 1, 2, 3, 4, put some diodes in with the right values, pointing in the right direction, and this relay, you put a permanent positive to the unit, and then the diodes go to the negatives on channels 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you apply a negative to the Staffguard, you are also triggering the relay. The relay can then be set to normally open or normally closed, just depends what you want the NVR or DVR to trigger. So we quite often use a NVR or DVR to send signals to the monitoring station on activation of the Staffguard. The user presses the PA button that's connected to the Staffguard. That in turn then sends a video signal to the control room. They have two-way audio then, so they can hear and listen, and they can also see what's happening on site. As mentioned earlier, we also have a man-down relay. Now this is this unit in the bottom right, left-hand corner, as indicated here. And the purpose of the relay is to ensure there is movement within the premises before sending a signal to the monitoring station. So on the relay, we have a positive and negative. You can common the negatives up as shown here. We also have a test button. So instead of the unit requiring 10 minutes of non-activation, you can reduce it down to 1 minute by pressing a button here. The PIR goes into this circuit here. And basically the relay is looking for an open and closed over a period of 10 minutes to reset the timer. So every time a PIR sees movement in the area, it resets the relay to 10 minutes again. Now the man-down relay requires an enable signal. It usually comes from the intruder alarm system. And we apply a voltage to the man-down relay to activate it. In other words, to turn it on. The reason for this is out of hours, if you can imagine, when there's nobody around in a shop or a premises, if there's no movement, every 10 minutes the alarm will sing a sound and send a signal through to the control room, which is monitoring the Staffguard. So the way we get around that is we set the intruder alarm system to pulse a signal out, like an open and close signal, that removes or applies power to this terminal. So when you set and unset your system, you basically turn the man-down relay on. Now, to program the Staffguard, you require a standard sort of analog butt phone. You plug it into the 3.5mm jack in the top right-hand corner of the Staffguard. We usually supply an adapter, but if you haven't got one, you can take the end off the telephone connector, a little BT socket, and replace it with a 3.5mm jack. Plug that into the port in the top right-hand corner, and you program it via DTMF telephone dial tones. So you press something like *01 plus a telephone number, which is the control room, followed by ##, and that's the telephone number programmed in. To program the account number, *04, followed by the account number, which is normally 6-digit, ##, and that's programmed in. So for instance, to program the account number, you go *04, the butt phone will bleep, followed by the 6-digit code and ##, and the butt phone will bleep twice. And that's it really for the programming of the Staffguard. You can then trigger it to see whether it's going through to the control room, and the control room will ask you for the security details, like what site you're on, what's the account number, that type of thing. Hopefully that gives you an insight into how to wire a Staffguard. I'll just drop a quick schematic on that shows you how the Staffguard is wired, and hopefully this video will point you in the right direction regarding programming.